Hello, everyone. This is me, Tina of Tenderly Stitched. I am at QuiltCon, and I tell you, I've had an absolutely wonderful time. And I have to share the quilts with y'all. I promise you, any photography, any video will not do these quilts justice, but I'm going to try my best. I've already gone through all the quilts, I've done a lot of shopping, so I'm going to try to take you through what are some of my favorite hidden gems because I know a lot of the big uh, vendors and all are going to just showcase the stuff that they've supported, they've sponsored, and whatnot, as they should. But there's some wonderful hidden gems in here, and what I want to make sure is that you're inspired to make your own quilts. Even if you've never thought about sewing before, if you've never thought about quilting before, please consider joining us in a, I'd say, crafting network that has such a huge legacy and richness. You can do so many things between applique, embroidery, just regular patchwork, wall ramming. There's so many opportunities to just explore and find your creative voice, which you may not even know you have. So I'm going to start with the children, or rather the youth quilts, because as they say, the children are our future. And you're going to see some of the what's on their minds. Look at this wonderful quilt. This title of this one, which has first place, is "This Land Is Not Our Land." Look at that. On this quilt, the youth has placed the names of Native American tribes throughout the U.S. Look at that originality. Look how they've used raw edge applique. Look at the quilting. When you come on up in there, you see a lot of the quilting. You see how they've just stuck down with the applique, raw edge applique again, to represent North America and South America, well, Central America. So look at that. Isn't that just gorgeous? Then you have some gorgeous piecing, like the quilt that's over here. Look at that. Actually, I'm sorry, that on the left may not be the youth. Oh no, that is a youth. I had to double check. I had to just, there was so much wonderful piecing. I had to double check. Fantastic job and gorgeous quilting as well. Simple wave quilt motif pattern. And look how stunning the color placement is. Then you have some fun quilts like this. Somebody apparently loves robots. Isn't that fun? And that is number 11, I think I see right there. Again, there's a little raw edge applique going on in here. Look at that right there. See? If that child can do it, so can you. Now look at this. It says Crazy Windows, has a crazy quilt theme kind of to it. And then it's set with sashing. Has a kind of a vintage look to it, wouldn't you say? Look at that. Look at that hand quilting. So they mixed with machine binding in with hand binding. And look at that nice thick thread they chose just to make sure it popped against the green. Look at that. Ow, look at this. This is a little bit more of a, I'd say, artistic type uh, interpretation. The title of it is Fever Dreams. I have to read on that one and see what was the inspiration. But look how simple the quilting is as well. So they started in the center and then they worked their way out and out and out and out. So a lot of times in quilting, people will use a curved quilt motif on top of a very geometric patchwork design to soften the lines. And it looks like this youth did just that. And look, that got second place. I wouldn't be surprised looking at some of the stitches here that they might have used their walking foot to do that themselves. So again, someone doing some amazing work, very young, and taking on the challenge. Now look at this as well. Let's see what we got going on. Okay, some traditional blocks in here. We got the log cabin down here. We've got, let's see, what else do I see? That's a simple 16 patch right there. We've got half square triangles here, which almost look like a economy block almost, but not quite. Then we've got a square and a square up there. So they've actually taken some traditional blocks. That's rail fence there, put in a swirl pattern. So the title of this one is Honeybee, and I have a feeling the reason why it's honeybees is that there's got to be some honeybees somewhere, and there is the honeybees. The honeybees are in the quilt motif. That is just wonderful. Now, what I would say, there's a lot of adult quilters who do not take on putting on sashing on their quilts, but look how this youth has used sashing and the cornerstones to add an accent to the quilt. So basic vintage traditional blocks, good sashing, good quilt motif, good color palette, all comes together quite nicely. Then you have quilts like this that are just fun. Look at all those beautiful bright colors coming together, and they just, oh yeah, I love the colors. Let me see, the title of this, the title makes sense, Birthday Cake. So that person, that you definitely had a good time with that one. Oh, here we have another kind of geometric layout. And the title is Timeline. So when I saw this the other day, I was interested in how they came up with the name. So I'm actually going to just go right close enough so that later on I can actually read this when I get back. Maybe y'all will stop the video and actually zoom in and read it for yourself as well. I do like the quilt motif as well because see how they have the waves here in the green and then they have the straight lines in the black and white and gray. So definitely changed up the quilt motif for a reason. And I do see a little something in here, right in here. I have to, when I read it, figure out why that is. Also, they accented the square there with a different quilt motif. A lot of times we will do custom quilting along our quilts instead of doing an overall design, and certainly this youth did that. Ooh, look at that. See, and yeah, you're going to let you know already. I have a quilt retreat coming up in March, at the end of March, March 21st through 24th, the 4-day retreat. So every circle quilt, I tell you, is going to be zooming in on my attention because our theme will be circles. And I love the fact that this youth used raw edge applique to see how the raw edges are raw. Use raw edge applique to put down these circles and accent what you would say is a traditional kind of rainbow background of a quilt. So fantastic job, and those are some beautiful batik fabrics in there. If y'all don't know about batik fabrics, I tell you, you're going to want to. There's some gorgeous batiks out there. Even the process of making them is something to know about. Oh, look at that. Just nice, bright, and cheerful. I like that. And I like the quilt motif in it. Look how they've used orange thread to complement all of the colors that are within the quilt. So that orange on top of the yellow, the black and white just is perfect. And then, of course, the orange is in the binding. I love it. Now, I will use this as an example to say, and I'm going to zoom in a little quicker. Notice how the orange fades into the back, where orange is, how it pops against the yellow, but then it really pops against the black and white. For us as quilters, one of the hardest things we do sometimes is to audition different threads to quilt our quilts with. And the reason being because you want that you want the thread color to do what you want it to do against certain fabrics and not do what you and don't do what you want it to do in the wrong fabrics, if that makes sense. I'll try to figure out how to say that better, but you want it to look pretty where you want it to intentionally look pretty, and you don't want it to basically look ugly in any particular spots in your quilt. So because I will be drawn to that which does not look good. And I have to say, this student right here, this youth right here, did a very good job of picking that shade of orange that just pops where it should pop and then blends and fades into black background, where it does. So there's a few more quilts on this aisle. I love that's Maramba #1. I love that. So something that knew it had to do with dancing. Um, Look at that rainbow quilt as well. Smiley face, blanket, blanket zero. I have to figure out what that's about, but I think it says from New York. Okay, this was also one of my favorites I saw in the youth section because I love anything metallic, and I hope that the metallicness of that binding comes across the sparkle right there. I think if I zoom in just enough, you will see the sparkle. And who doesn't like K-facet fabrics? If K-facet is all throughout this quilt and centered around the panel in the middle right there. So you know that you can't really go wrong with K with respect to color, if you love color, that is. Um, and there are some more subtle K facet, but I tell you, most of them have a lot of color. And I, of course, have quite a bit in my collection. They're very distinct, not only because of the color, but also because of um, the composition. So if you look here, look at some of the images, illustrations, excuse me, throughout, and those are some traditional cave illustrations that just pop beautifully. So if you don't know about Cave, look him up and just accenting that panel. I have to say, this was one of my favorites as well. I'm going to stand back for a bit and so that you can see just how the diamonds are swirling from the middle to out. So even the neutral diamonds are swirling out as well as the dark. And as I come in, I'm going to take this and I'm going to follow the swirl pattern so that hopefully you see it that much better. Look at that. Now it's so funny because this is a Lone Star uh, vintage pattern. Well, actually, it's actually a Native American pattern. I'll have to put a link in there for y'all so you can know where that Lone Star pattern came from within the Native Americans. But look how that looks just stunning. I've done a Lone Star myself, and I tell you, I love it. And there's a traditional way to do them, and then there's a couple of foundation paper piecing ways to do them. And either way you choose it, I tell you this though, doing it by strip method is one of the easiest ways. But there's pros and cons to everything in life, as they say. So we'll talk about that another day. Now, this was another fantastic one. This is a foundation paper piece pattern. I've actually have a friend, Miss Rosa, who did that for a friend for her Delta sister, I think it was. And that's a lot of piecing that goes into this one. But there, I tell you, there are what they do go together quite quickly, and Violet Craft does this one. If memory serves me right, it makes this pattern, and it. I tell you, I did the lion. I've known someone that has done the elephant. And if you haven't done foundation paper piecing or English paper piecing as well, because it comes in English paper piecing, you might want to start with the owl. That's all I'm going to say. Start with the owl. Get your toe wet in the pool, as they say, and then step on out, because once you learn the technique, which is actually very easy to do, then you can take on a larger composition like this. But isn't that gorgeous? And look how this youth used quilting to accent each of the pieces within the elephant. So they've gone inside each piece and done some quilting. Also, look how to accentuate the back, they've actually quilted into the negative space quite intricately. And on top of a batik, which from a fabric standpoint, batiks actually look have a lot of interest to your eye anyway, but they've added that much more with the quilting. Absolutely fabulous job. Fabulous, fabulous job. So we have some beautiful quilts here. Look how that's Cafe as well. Look at that. Look at that beautiful rainbow quilt. I tell you, sometimes, although I love the intricate, sometimes you just got to look at some of the simple quilts and then be inspired to make something simple. Because I tell you, there's a lot of times when you do want to take on a challenging project, but sometimes those simple projects just make you feel good too. Because it feels good to finish something that is doesn't take a lot of time, but you get that sense of accomplishment. Now look at here. Now, talk about some improv work. Now, y'all may not know about G Ben, but G Ben is one of the legacy groups that have been doing quilts for decades, and they have a long-standing history of doing improv piecing. Now, truth be told, the beginnings of quilting is nothing but improv anyway, because people used to just take what they had to use in order to make quilts, and they were very functional at that time, and then we went into a phase where we understood that we can actually put the pieces together in a beautiful way and therefore make something stunning. So, but back to this quilt, see how each of the squares are just improv, just very improv, but the color placement means that they were intentional with the improv, right? And look at the quilting. Now, normally in quilting, we say that we do not cross lines with our quilt motif, but I could tell you this quilt, this you said, I'm going for it. And hats off to that person. Let me see, I'll catch the name later, because they said, I'm going to do what I want to do, and they're doing it with variegated thread. That's why the thread is changing colors against the white background. So, of course, that white background was perfect. Now, I did not notice this the first time, but look how the binding actually goes from gray. See how it's gray there? And it transitions down to colors. So the transition in the colors and the binding kind of mimic what you see going on in the quilt. Wonderful design element for sure. Now, I have to say, this was one of my favorite quilts. Oh man, not just because of the color, not just because of geometry going on in it, and the improv. Now, look how that's a wonderful mix of geometry and improv. Good look at that. And then look at the quilting. The quilting, straight line quilting, but look at the precision. Look at the precision all the way down. So with a walking foot, you can put a guide on to help make sure that your stitches are nice and straight and stay straight. But I tell you, I've done this, and it still takes a lot of effort and concentration to make sure that it is done well. So, but look at that. Look at those improv all along the curves. See how they did the improv in the curves, but the triangles are their God. And that juxtaposition, I think is the right word, just makes that stand out phenomenally. Now, look how they put something with vibrant color right next to something on the neutral scale. Isn't that something? You got this next to that. I love it. Absolutely love it. Now, this is a technique that I knew one instructor when I learned how to quilt overseas who used to do it. Her name is escaping me right now, but she was with Miss Val all the time at the retreats I used to go to when I was overseas. See how the fabric is turned. See how that is? And then stitched down so that it maintains its shape. I love that. Absolutely love that. And then we're coming out here. Oh, so those last two were definitely okay. Now I know. They look familiar in a way. These are Group B quilts. So I'm going to go through these, but I'm going to start on the end of the one I absolutely caught my eye, because actually it's actually, of course, several caught my eye, but within here is some gorgeous quilts. There's a couple of them that just stand out to me in a way. Of course, that stands out because of the colors. Great choice of colors. Um, the horse. Definitely wanted to share the horse with you. See how he is just riding along. There's a wonderful story about raising awareness of how horses are being shipped to be eaten. And who knew? But you know what? You never know what you'll find out when you come to a quilt conference like this one. You find out all sorts of things. Now, if memory serves me right, I think I know whose quilt this is. Um, oh no, this is someone different. Okay, but look at that improv in there. Absolutely fantastic. And this is the one I wanted to share. Look at this quilt right here. First of all, I love the pattern. I think I bought this pattern. If I don't have it, I definitely will get it right now. But look again. Remember how in that youth quilt I said how coming into each area, each square, different quilting motifs were picked? Look at how they just went all out throughout this whole entire quilt. I'm going to raise my arm up to make sure that you see as much of the top part as possible. Look at that. Now, y'all know I love purple, so they had me at purple when I saw this one to begin with. But they put the purple with its complementary colors. The quilt itself, which has a I can't get the word out. The triangle, which forms the stars, like that one right there. Oh, you know what I just caught? I just caught that they. Sorry about that freeze. So look how that is pieced. That purple star is pieced differently than this star. This right there. So I think that the group members had their choice of how to build the hexagon that is there. So yeah, that is something. That is something. All right, I got so much more to show you. So let me get to moving. Uh, there we go, right there. And I like the colors against the gray there. Ooh, the circles. I think I'm gonna have to double check the name of this section, but I love the circles there. And just when you think that everything in a modern quilt guild has to, quilt conference has to have color, you see something like that that doesn't have any, all neutrals and just studies. Now, what you can't see until I probably get a little close is look how the piecing makes it look like you have a crack running through the piece. That's what I see. Tell me what you see from the lines that are there. Isn't that something? Now, if you follow the seams, and as y'all, those who come to my quilt retreats or so with me, you know I say follow the seam. So there's a seam line right here, there's a seam line right there, and right there, right there, and I'm sure there's a reason for those seams. It's not just the switch up. It's not just the switch up. So let me make sure that I do not miss my other favorite quilt, which is this one right here. So, yeah, TGFO. Um, this quilt stood out because of the acronym, of course, the colors as well. And then look at this. They softened the quilt with the quilt motif. There's flowers all over and hearts. I love it. Very good use of quilting. I absolutely love that when I saw it. I love that one. You know what? I am going to step back and let's see. Let me go up this other aisle just real quick. Let me go up this aisle because there are some really good quilts to see. They're a bit different because of all the circles and all the ways in which circles have been used. Now, of course, I want all of my retreaters to see this particular section of the um, conference because look, they put circles in by the quilt motif itself. They've overlapped circles. They've chosen different thread colors in this quilt to maximize. Here you have rings of circles on top of each other. Look at that. Look at the quilting throughout that. We've got a quilt that has a circle there that has a grid inside. Look how then when they overlap there. Then we got rings inside of rings there. Yes. So, and then look at this one here as well. First of all, let me start with the quilting. Let me put this up here. We'll put that there, and there, and there, and there, and there, and then there you go. Have a good look at that. I loved this one too. Oh, I love that. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. And I love that the dense quilting in the background makes the pieces pop. That's a That's a good technique to make sure that what you want to pop in the quilt actually pops. Like quilting quite densely in the back. And look at this stunning one as well. I love the color choice. I love the quilting. I love it all. Now let me bring you into the quilting because when you get up close, and how do I say this respectfully? So many people think that their quilting has to be perfect in order to make a quilt beautiful. But look at how this quilting, I would say, is very well done. But it's done by hand. It's not done by machine. You can tell that the person actually did that. There's movement within the quilting that makes it stand out, and it just all goes together. It's very organic. That's the word I probably want to use. Very organic and flow. So, look at this one. Sometimes you, even as a quilter, even when you've been quilting for a while, you look at a quilt and you say to yourself, how did they make that? Well, I have to tell you, when I looked at this quilt, I thought that. I see the basic block, but then I see the switch up that they've done up in there. And I said, you know what? I really wanted to look at that and figure out how they did it. Now, I may never do it, but I appreciate the fact that this person did it. That's for sure. Look at this one now. It might seem like I went into grayscale, but I did not go into grayscale. This is a black and white quilt and it's on a gray background. So but look how stunning that is. Absolutely stunning. Good piecing. Now, this was my other favorite, and I do not think that I took a good enough picture of this. Did get another video, but what I want you to see is that they did some hand quilting in the center, and the thread has color. See the colors in the thread. And then as you come out, they switch to machine quilting all the way through. There you go. Now you're seeing it. You're seeing it all throughout. So you have so much movement in the quilt on top of the title of it is Moment of Clarity, which is an interesting title. I love some of the titles on some of these quilts. I really do. Ha, I love it. I love it. Love the green in this quilt as well. And the arcs and how they were used. Silver, interesting name for this. So, and here we enter the section on negative space. So you'll see how people have used negative space. Usually, modern quilters put quite heavily in their negative space, and which is actually usually very lovely. And I have to say, there it is. Here's one of my other favorites. I really thought this was a hidden gem. First of all, I love the piecing of the wedges themselves. I love the color. It is very vibrant when you see it in person. The blues pop against those oranges quite wonderfully. Of course, the title is Solar Eclipse. And I'm going to start in the middle to help you see the quilting and how it just radiates out in the wedges, and I'm going to keep moving around it so that the light catches just right, hopefully, so that you can see what's going on. And even in that brown background, look at that brown. Hopefully you're seeing that that's brown. Um, if I hit it at the right angles, look at that. Look at all of that. Look at all of that. I tell you. Wonderful piecing within the wedges, wonderful quilting in the negative space in the brown, and just stunning all around. And then you have a beautiful quilt next to it that's all curves. We go from one geometric shape to the other. Now, there's a lot of straight line quilting in this quilt to give the dense quilting in the background. And look at that. So I dare say I'd have to double check on the back if the quilt angel was here with the gloves, because we do not touch the quilts while we're here at a quilt festival. You can love on any quilt you want in your house, but don't touch these. There's people with gloves walking around. And if you have not had the opportunity to be a quilt angel, let me tell you, I had fun. Let me make sure you see my face when I tell you this. I've had fun being a quilt angel because it's a wonderful opportunity to get up close and personal with the quilts. You have your white gloves on. You can turn around and see that. Usually, you can see the quilting much better on the backing as well. So, and then you get to interact with everybody. So, if you are a quilter and you haven't thought about volunteering, please do volunteer at a conference that you attend. And sign-ups are easy. Usually, there's some sort of perks for you. I also like to do the takedown and the put up, excuse me, and the takedown of quilts, because that's the other time you get to kind of get up close and personal with them, especially those wonderful quilts that talk to you. Anyway, let me get back to showing you, because we're going to get into my next favorite section in just a second. So this is Prague 2. I'm sure there's a story behind that quilt alone. Let me just show you some more of the negative space ones before we get into my next section. And as soon as you see one of the colors, oh, here, wait a minute, before I say anything else, let me just show you this one, because I just loved this quilt. I really did. Now, again, they got up and they made sure that they quilted in each space. And look at, not even that many quilt motifs used. But look how stunning they all are coming together. All of them. All of them. And those solids against that black and white are just perfect. Absolutely perfect. Obscure. I like that title as well. Ordinary World number 2. I like that one as well. So, as we turn the corner, I did like this one, Head Adjustment. I love the title. I absolutely love the title. I'd have to sit with that one and soak for a second. Now we go into the community outreach quilts. And I can't tell you how much I love the colorway that was chosen for this year. So in these quilts, each guild, each modern quilt guild in each location elected to participate if they wanted to, in order, so um, they were given a set of fabric, and they all got to choose what they wanted to do with it. So let me just stand here and show you the variety that you even just see before I even walk through these aisles. The variety of the quilting that's been done. All right, that's just a teaser here in the middle. I'm just going to walk up and down, and so you can just see that even when people start with the same quilt fabric, same colors, how varied the quilting, quilt patchwork is, the quilt motifs are, the play is. This was one of my favorites. I hope I have this pattern. If I don't, I'm definitely going to find it. Um, their decision to how they use the colors, which ones they wanted to play with more than others. I tell you, I don't have this buttercream color in my stash, but I'm gonna get some after I leave out of here. I got that mustard. Y'all know I got the mustard because the mustard goes with purple, so you know I got that. But that buttercream is just perfect. I'm gonna have to find that for sure. I'm pretty sure someone has some here today. Matter of fact, I think I know exactly where some is. But again, look how each guild decided what colors they wanted to work with out of those which was offered, and they all did something completely different. Look how improv that is. It's almost about play on a box in a box in a box. Isn't that something? And look at this kaleidoscope. I like this one. Absolutely love this one. And the quilting, I love it. I love the circles on top of it. So let me go on in and let you see some of the quilting right there. Yeah, look at that. Absolutely. And then you just have something fun like this one. I love this. I can't remember the exact name of this pattern, but it's almost like pickup sticks, something like that. I've made a few of these blocks just to test out making it, and I just wanted to tell you that each individual block, and I'm going to come in so that you can see where the block is. So for instance, here, the block is just these two sticks, the yellow and the purple. Here you have two sticks in this block crossing, and that's it. That is an easy, beginner-friendly um, quilt block to make, and then it goes together so well, and you just have fun with it. It's one of those quilts that you could just sit, make a ton of blocks in the afternoon, and just put them together and have a quilt done. And let me come back in so you can see the quilt motif again. Remember I said a lot of times we put curved quilt motifs on top of geometric quilts, and that's one of the wave quilt motifs that I do like. I haven't used it on one of my quilts yet, but I tell you, I can't wait to find the right quilt to put that on, because I'm definitely going to use it. But definitely going to make one of these quilts. Mine is scrappy. I can tell you that already. The one I started is scrappy. And then look at this. Now, just take a moment in. Look how the color gradient changes from dark to medium to light. All intentional. And that means that, I see, I would dare say that these are at least 12, maybe 14-inch blocks. So there's a block here that was done, and then there's a block here, so you could tell where each individual person made a block, and then they set that block on point. And how do I know it's set on point? Because I can see the set-in triangle all the way up there. I see a triangle up there. They cut that square off, but normally the points would be always seen all the way through to the end, which is very improvisational, so it just works very well. And I tell you, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So, ooh, look at this. Now, obviously, the purple background is appealing to me. I hope that you love purple as much as I do. But more importantly than that, let me come in so you can see the quilting. See how they created a middle here, and then they worked their way out for the quilt motif. That's pebbles. That should be pebbles with some swirls. Then you've got some more swirls. And look how they created the outline as well, around the trees, right? Created the outline of the trees. And then, let's see. So after the swirls, they created some flying geese, came back to the swirls. Look how they've quilted within the blocks as well. Depending on your batting, you are required to put a certain amount of stitches per inch to make sure that the batting holds together. Because remember, although all of this is done very decoratively, the function of a quilting is to make sure that all three layers of your quilt holds together. That means the back, the middle, and the front all hold together. And you don't want your batting moving over time, because after you make one of these quilts, you do want it to last. So that's one of the ways in which you make sure it lasts. You don't want that batting moving around and people not enjoying it and seeing puckered spots. Now that's a very interesting quilt. Um, the name of that is Shining a Light on Greensboro. I'm gonna have to look up that guild and see the story behind this quilt. Um, Shining a light on their city. Oh, I like it. I like it. This is one of my favorites as well. It has that Aztec-y feel, and then they actually went with a geometric quilt pattern on top of a geometric quilt layout. Look at that. Interesting. Very interesting. Here we got a play on log cabins. I'd say these are improvisational log cabins. And then they are just randomly placed. And look at that. It works for me. Ooh, as does this one. Look at that. Look at that placement. You have the outer box, which is purple, and then you have like the beginning of the next one as well, and then you have all the quilt blocks in between. That is some wonderful piecing, and that's a fantastic layout. Absolutely fantastic. I don't know if you can tell, but the blocks are set on point and then they are outlined. So that is well done. That says Capital Circuits. Well done, DC. Capital City, of course. Well done, DC. And look at that. Dottie Comforts. I like the Celtic knot quilt motif, excuse me, the quilt block. And they did a fantastic job there. Love it. And then they also used the geometric background on the quilt, which pops in the background, and it complements, actually that quilt motif complements the block very well. So I can definitely see why they picked that. Look at the circles like that. And then look at that. Now, y'all know I'm an engineer, so my mind will actually uh, love the geometrics. Ooh, there's that wave quilt motif again. Look at that. Now, see how that one strip is running down the middle? Love it. But see how the blocks are laid to give accent to pointing. And that says Charm City Symmetry. Well, y'all know I'm from Baltimore, so I love that right there. Well done, Baltimore. Well done. Bursting Blooms was one of my favorites, and I'm actually going to zoom in first and then step out so you can see the quilt motif, which is a curve or arc inside a square, and then you get the repeat. Let me just make sure I see it before I try to point it out to you. Oh, actually, that square is not complete. So it goes down, up, around, down. I love that. Absolutely love that. And let me step out so now you get to see the full effect of the quilt. Isn't that something? Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Let's see. Believe it or not, I've still got quite a few. I can't remember how many guild locations we have throughout the and actually international because it's Canada and other places around the globe as well. Oh, there's the Houston one. Y'all know I'm a member of the Houston Modern Quilt Guild. There's ours right there. And I think they said Jen quilted that. Oh, thank you, ladies, for all who put together quilt blocks and for those who put this all together and then binded it as well. It really takes a whole community to do that. Oh, I did not see that one over there. Oh, hold on. I'm going to skip right over that. I must have missed this owl the other day. But I actually loved that quilt right there. Look at how they quilted in each of the circles. And I know y'all are thinking, how in the world did I see that from across the room? But I did. Look, they went in each of the circles and use actually some traditional, so feathers and non-traditional quilt motifs. A lot of modern quilters love non-traditional quilt motifs, so it's very interesting when you see one where we have traditional a quilt that has traditional quilt motifs in it. Oh, and look at that other gem just right next to it as well. I love that layout. Oh, that's stunning. Absolutely stunning. Oh, I have this quilt pattern. And guess what? It's nothing but half square triangles. So if you're a beginner quilter, you can make this. It's all in the layout, and I'm going to prove it to you. Let me come in here and show you where the half square triangle is. See how the background square gray is with that purple? There's the half square triangle. 45-degree angles don't lie, I tell you. And that was pieced beautifully. Now look at the quilting in the background. Very nice quilting. I love the movement in that random motif. I'd say someone played with that because I'm trying to find a repeat and I'm not seeing an exact repeat. So I think this person freehanded this, so to speak. They obviously did it on a machine, but I think they free motion quilted this and they did a fantastic job. So wonderful shout out to who was the sing? Oh, Lincoln, Nebraska. Wonderful job all around. You took a basic block, did a stunning layout, and and then you did some fantastic quilting. I tell you. See, that just goes to show there's so much that can be done in quilting. You could still do something very simple and still make it very stunning with the quilting, or you could do something very stunning with your piecing and then do simple quilting. It just doesn't matter. The sky's the limit on the creativity of what quilters do. I tell you. Look at that. Now that's interesting. Light the Way is the name of this one, and that is from uh, a group in a guild in Massachusetts, it says. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Let me see what else we got down here because I did not go through this aisle the other day. So there might be another hidden gem. Definitely have that quilt. Definitely have that ruler and the pattern for that. Getting Get to the point. Love that. The title goes with that quite well. Love the layout and love the quilting inside each of the triangles. Well done. Oh, I love the color placement in that. That eggplant against the buttercream, and I think that's like a sea breeze green. Oh, absolutely. Ooh, I like this too. Block party. Oh my goodness. I think this reminds me of a quilt that Cynthia did at our quilt retreat. But I tell you, that wasn't her colorway. And hers, oh, looks just as stunning because of the layout. But ooh, I think I might need to make that quilt in my favorite colors now. Look at how that purple pops. Actually, it's more of a maroon, a burgundy maroon, deep burgundy, pops against the light lilac, and then that almost sea green or mint as well in the light areas. Oh, I love it. And I love the quilt motif. I'm going to have to find that and let my long armor know I need to use that in a quilt. Look at that. It almost looks like a pineapple head with some circles. So yeah, I'm gonna find that. All right. So let me continue on this side so you can see the rest of these. And there's that wave again. Carnival, carnival. Ah, that's interesting. I like that. Very improvisational blocks with some traditional blocks. I love it. I love the good mixture of the two. Look at that. Absolutely fantastic. And then, ooh, splot. I did not see this. I did not see this the other day. Let me step out, step out, step out. So I think everybody had a chance to do curve piecing. And they, look at that. Okay, very improvisational in the curves. Improvisation instead of doing a traditional drunken path kind of but the layout still works. Look at the imagery that you see and all that your eye catches. Let's see. Let me go through the back, and I'm going to double back through that last aisle so you get to see what was in there. They hand quilted this. Oh, I love the fact that they hand quilted on top of that improvisational quilt. Love it. Absolutely love it. So let me stand back first for you. And now I'm going to come on in so that you can see the hand stitching that's done. I still have hand stitching on my bucket list. Obviously, that's my bucket list when I retire, more so than while I'm working. But look at the fact that they hand stitched curves here, straight lines here. They did, I want to say that's the clam. Oh, sorry, yeah, clam motif there. We got almost like a hexy motif here. We came back to the circle motif there. So they even changed up not only the quilt motif in the hand quilting, but they also changed up the thread color as well to complement the blocks. So that is fantastic. Go right ahead, ma'am. Go right ahead. Let me get out your way. All right. I love it. Oh, the fan. Oh, y'all know I did a Dresden plate quilt retreat. I think that was last year. So basically taught a couple of different ways to do the Dresden plates. I actually need to finish mine. This is a judgment-free zone, so don't even laugh at me. Or actually laugh with me, but don't laugh at me. But let me come into here and just show you how they came in and they quilted within each of the fan blades, then in the negative space. And oh, look at that. So in the center, they have, oh, see, they did theirs differently. A lot of times on the Dresden plate, you'll just have a circle in the middle to finish it. But they actually have, some of them have this star going on in the middle. So in theory, if you had to put all stars together, you have a complete star in the middle. That might be an 8-pointed star if I can count. 1, 2, 3. Actually more than that. So we're not even going to try to count live. But because they did not put all the pointed ones together, then what they did was they came in the quilt motif and created the imagery with the stitching, which is actually a phenomenal technique. Now I'm just going to stand back and let you enjoy how that comes together. All right, stars above. Love it. Now, let's see what we got down here. I do remember seeing this one and loving it because I loved how I love the symmetry in it. I love the colors, of course. I do love the quilting that they've done because they've gone on each circular area, each oval area, and there you go. Good vibrations. That's exactly what that is. That's a perfect title. Well done, Glasgow. Oh, that came all the way from Glasgow. Wow. Oh, I remember when I lived in the UK. Dude, definitely miss being in the UK. Now look at this one. So, foundation paper pieced. I do have the design for this one. I know I've made this block as a part of a group effort, and but I tell you, until you really stand back and look at this in video, is when you see how the plum or the eggplant color just runs and creates that X, and you have a middle that is that mustard. And the title of this is striking strings. Well done on the layout and the planning of this quilt. Oh, that is fantastic right there. Um, Loving this one. I remember loving this one. And I do remember loving this one as well because um, I don't do just soft neutral quilts myself. Most of the custom quilts I do are vibrant and colorful. Um, that's what I like to do, and thank goodness my customers, that's what they like to receive. But one of these days, I'm going to do something this soft and neutral. Oh, here was the one I was looking for because I know I didn't get a good enough picture of this. So, tell me what you see right now, and then I'm going to come in and tell you what you can see when you're live. So if you come into the middle and you start with I'm going to give you a hint, the eye, and then you follow the eye all the way around and see how the quilt motif is telling a story, and then it swings out all the way to the end. It does the same at the top. I'm going to come up to the top and see how the quilt motif swings out. Again, loving the fact that we got the swirls, we got some arcs, we got some pebbles, we got the cotton candy, we've got the geese, we've got the feathers, and guess what the title of this one is? The title of this one is Eye of a Hurricane. Those of us who live in the path of hurricanes because of how the weather patterns are in the Gulf, we all know all too well what a hurricane can do to an area, and I think this quilt represents what we experience quite well. So, see how many stories a daggone quilt can tell? You just never know. You just gotta follow the story through the thread and the fabric. Now, this is one of my favorites as well. Half square triangle tango. Absolutely love it. Look at that layout. Look at that layout. Love it. Another one of my favorites was on this side. Oh, hold on. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Because I love the circles with I'm not really sure what you call those. But I know I've seen that in a pattern. But I tell you, let me just let you see it for yourself. Look at all the quilting in the circles. All the quilting in the circles. And then that arc one right there. And then will come out, and I love the fact that the border is actually pieced. See how they go from that tealy color to the eggplant. Absolutely love it. And look how your eye just catches it all. I love this one as well. I love how your eye just catches everything. Look at that. Look at that. And then, let me come on this side. So this is the one I was trying to get to garden trellis. Um, Again, arcs are on my list. Well, actually, about to be done at our retreat. So this one stuck out to me. I love the layout. I hope someone at my retreat does something very similar. Because one thing about facilitating quilt retreats is I can't make all the quilts I want to see made, but I can be a part of helping someone make their dream quilt, even if they don't know what the dream is yet. Now, the one thing I will say about this, I love the scrappiness, because see how they've actually intermingled some extra quilt fabrics. They've got the bees, they've got the bicycles, they've got some leaves going on. It is fantastic. So, garden trellis, love it. And I think that is the end of. I love that. I love that. I saw someone do that on their YouTube channel. She showed you how she just puts it together. I love it. Very improvisational. Love this one as well. Absolutely loving that. No, I know I definitely have a quilt pattern for that. Simple but stunning. I love it. Good placement. Good placement of colors. Love that as well. And then I'm back at the end. So, where should we go next is the question. So there's a couple of more areas that I want to make sure I cover with y'all today. Oh shoot, look at that. It's already quarter to 12. I did not even think this was going to take this long, but apparently it is. Because I want to make sure that y'all get a good feel so that y'all decide whether y'all want to come to Phoenix or not. Because it will be in Phoenix next year. And like I said earlier, you don't get a good feel unless you actually see them for yourself. You know what? I think I'm going to start on this side because some of my favorites are to my left right now, and I've seen a few of them already out the side of my eye. And let's start here. So, here we go. One more time. Isn't that stunning? Yeah, I thought you would like that. So let me go through here. So this is Windham. Um, So Windham is a fabric manufacturer. They've provided the fabrics for people to choose to do what they wanted to do with them. They probably had a size criteria, a min and a max. That was one of my favorites as well, right there. Um, love the what I think are lilies in this one right here. Just absolutely love the applique. Then I love the just movement in that one. Then I did not actually know how they did that optical illusion on there, but that's a good placement of lights and darks. And then I love the fact that they just went, let me see, this is Tentacles. Mary just went and did her thing right there, something very different. Um, See how just free flowing and different everything is. And then you see something and you're like, oh, I like that. The flower floating maybe on some water is what that might be interpreted as. And then this is the one I wanted to show you. Here you see something just so fun. That's perfectly named. Absolutely perfectly named. All right, so I've already been on here for an hour. So I'm going to end on these last few rows because there's a couple down here and around the other side. I want to make sure I show you. Loved that one, of course. Um, Absolutely love that as well. And what I want to say about these quilts is have a look at how the color changes when they mix. So when that coral and that orange mix, then you get that. See how they really, really did some fantastic piecing. The title of this one is Intersection, and there's a lot of quilts in there. There's a whole section actually of them that have that overlap that's just absolutely beautiful. There's a name for it, and it's escaping me right now. But then you have something fun like that that's just thrown together in a way. You think it's just thrown together, and then you actually take a time to really look at it, and you see that there's a lot of thought that went into this one. Absolutely a lot of thought went into that one. And this is one of my favorites. Actually, these are two of my favorites that are side by side. And I'm going to tell you why, because me and someone else stood here for a long time trying to figure this quilt out. Because when you come in, you will notice that the shot cotton is beautiful because it has its own translucent kind of nature to it. Then what they did was, without, see how there's a line there, but there isn't a line? Well, the line is created by the thread color change. Isn't that handwork absolutely stunning? Look how they used their handwork to create patchwork that is not the look of patchwork, which is not there. Isn't that something? So you've got a square in the middle, square and a square and a square, and then it's actually the quilt motif that's telling the whole story in that quilt. Absolutely love it. Iridescence, love it. Love the colors in this one as well. First look at it, you might think that, oh my goodness, it's just a lot of craziness going on. But then you step back and you realize, nope, there's a lot, um, there's a lot going on intentionally. And I'm going to show it to you. So these blocks up here, the star, the triangles, the rectangles, again the stars, the flying geese, the almost braid look block down in here, and then the color palette, of course, is very specific. Look at that. And then the quilting is intentional everywhere. Changing, 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 and changing. Absolutely, absolutely. Look at that. Now, I happen to know who made this quilt, and I saw this quilt, and I said to myself, I think she made that quilt, only to see a post later in the day of her next to her quilt. Outstanding job, Vasuda. Absolutely. You could always tell a Vasuda quilt. Absolutely can always tell one. Just wanted to show you fish eye. Look at that optical illusion that is created right there, all from a simple string block layout. But look how the color placement is what gives you the optical illusion. Well done. Absolutely well done. Love it, love it, love it. This was also one of my favorites as I came down warm days and cool nights. Wonderful job. Love the quilt, love the patchwork block itself, but also love the hand quilting on top of it. Now look at how they did that. See irrigated. Now first I thought that was irrigated thread, but actually now that I'm taking the second look, I'm thinking that they just actually just changed. Yeah, they just changed the colors. Now that I can see everything, they did a color change. I think there are some. I think there are some, what's the name, threads in there too, but absolutely gorgeous. Let's see. Love that one as well. Love the colors. And then this was one of my favorites as well. Look how they went from just the center on out. And I think you see the flower, right? I think you do. And then look how they changed the quilt motif from circles within the flowers. Then they came out with some straight lines. Two quilt motifs, very simple, good piecing, and stunning color placement. And that's something. Now, this is a play on the trip around the world, which I love. And believe it or not, there's a tube method or a strip method to make this. It makes it go very quick. You can make one in an afternoon, believe it or not, even if you don't really know much. Love this curved one as well. And here we go. This is the one I wanted to get. There's a category for piecing, and look at that. Look at that portrait. Look at that portrait right there. And I'm going to come in so you can actually see the block because it is actually the same block, but each is individual, remade, of course, anyway it would be, but the color in each is very specific and intentional, and that's how you get the portrait look. I'm going to show you another one that I really loved, the broken trellis over here. I like the fabric because I love the fabrics. I love that. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So I'm just walk by, walk a little bit more by. Yes, and yes, so you can see the variation, the piecing sections. Um, Loved those as well, right there. Loved that. That was very interesting. Love the fluid nature of that one there. Absolutely loved the color placement in this one. Absolutely love the color placement there. And then I love how they came in and they quilted all in here. And it's so fluid. Absolutely fluid. Look at that. Look at that. Another optical illusion. Another almost geometric piecing. Color placement. Look at that. Love that. And I think, oh, I know where one of my other favorites is. Before I stop, I gotta show you this one on the other side here. Let me go all the way on this other side. Ah, wait till you see it. You're gonna love it. Absolutely gonna love it. Let's see. Let me get on this side because I loved it when I saw it. It tells a wonderful story, stunning, and it's something I don't do, which is probably the other reason why I just love it. All right, are you ready? Here we go. Look at her. Let me come in and hopefully, I think I dropped something. Let me tell you about her. Sage in Wisdom Land is the title, and Sound God. Oh, I'm not going to say pronounce her last name correctly, so I'm not even going to try. But look at that. She's got shells. Look at that applique work. Look at that embroidery work in the crown. More applique work. More and more. Look at the beautiful in the background in that orange. Then you got the butterflies. One that's applique down. You got an embroidered bird, butterfly right there. Got a 3D one here. Look at that fairy sitting on the water. Look at that. She stitched all in there. Look at that beautiful thread choice. Look at the look at the fish. Look all the animals. Now look at the words: joy, happiness, peace, love, faith, all through the garden. And look at how you have that Mother Earth kind of feel. She's speaking, and it's going into the jar. Look at that. Look at that. And then there's someone up in the moon. So it's a refuge to contemplate and replenish and find inner peace. Sage and wisdom. African American Quilt Circle of Durham, who have a wonderful booth here. So hopefully I'll do a second go around the other side so you can see them sitting there. I hope I bought the winning raffle ticket. This was my other one I loved as well. Nancy did this one. Alexis, she is going places. Now let me come in so you can actually see the detail. So she got some quilting all in there around the border. Look at her butterfly sitting on her head, and then all of her flowers. Now, if y'all were paying attention earlier, those are definitely some cake flowers right there. It's one or two of them that she fussy cut it and then appliqued down. And then, if you notice in the background, that neutral is actually a map. And yeah, so appropriately titled Going Places. So, let me come around the other side so you can see their full booth. The ladies, they've got some really big, beautiful quilts. Yep, I hope I won mine. Now, I've shown you the quilts. Hopefully you've enjoyed. But guess what? You still get to see more beautiful quilts when you come to the conference because all of the vendors decorate their booths. Now, obviously, they're trying to sell and entice you. They're trying to entice you by making these booths beautiful, but they also inspire. enticing you to buy, but they inspire you in what you can make. And the reason why modern quilters love the Modern Quilt Conference is because the vendors here cater to the palette, the color palette, the style just fine, the style that modern quilters have. Like we saw a lot of quilts that the quilting in negative space, the colors, the motifs, the types of blocks they like to make, and all. So I say all that to say they set up here. They make things look wonderful, and so you want to buy some more and create some more. So actually, some of the most beautiful quilts you actually see them in the booth. That was my long way of saying that right there. Some of the most beautiful quilts you see are actually in the booths. So as I walk around a little bit, I'm going to break for lunch right now, but I'm going to take you around and show you some of the booths. Um, Today is Sunday. There's a few booths that sold out, so they don't have as much stock, but you will see the quilts still hanging up. And I do want you to get a good eye of that and also catch some of their names because there's a couple of here who have some new stuff that they've released, or vendors have released some new things, and you might decide you want to buy a few things. So, anyway, that is it for me for now. I hope you enjoyed this live. I hope the audio came across well. I know that there were some issues with reception in this area, so I hope the reception came through the whole time. I, for one, can't wait to go back and look at it myself because that gives me an opportunity to see the quilts all over again. Please follow Tenderly Stitched when, if you can, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And you know what? Do me a favor. Leave a comment if you have a question. I wanna answer it. They're quilters. If hopefully you know other quilters, so ask them the questions and let them answer them for you. Get connected. If you had any iota of wanting to ever quilt or create, let us help you get connected and figure out what you might like, whether it's the patchworking, whether it's the quilting, whether it's embroidery by machine, embroidery by hand. It doesn't matter. We will help you. That's what we do. We help everyone get connected within the craft. And I'm going to tell you this, once you get caught in, you will stay in with us. And I'm going to tell you why. Quilting is relaxing, it's soothing, it improves the quality of your life because using your creativity or finding it or unraveling it, just is just something about it that just brings you joy. And guess what, as well? You connect with other quilters who are usually around your same skill level, or you go under someone's wing and they teach you almost like a buddy system. So you explore and you connect organically. That's what I wanted to let you know. You can connect organically. So I tell you, I'm going to sign off now because it is definitely lunchtime for me. And I will see y'all a little later. Bye. Again, ask any questions you will. I will answer them. Now, how do I turn this off? Ooh, there's the button.